Il embrasse langoureusement Mary Jane dans Spider-Man, il joue un vampire originel dans Vampires Diaries, il se sacrifie dans The Originals. Aujourd'hui, je vous propose d'aller à la rencontre de l'acteur, réalisateur et scénariste Daniel Gillies. Hi Daniel.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
And you.
Very happy to see you, Daniel. Daniel, before portraying the role of a vampire, you've played John Jameson in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. How was it for you to be in a franchise as powerful as Spider-Man?
Well, at the time that I got that role, it was pretty thrilling because I was fairly new to living in the United States. But this is a long time ago now, man. This is 20 years ago now, I believe. And it was, for me, the time I'd been to New York, because it filmed in New York, and the time that I'd been in New York was about 2 or 3 years before that. And I remember making myself a promise. I said to myself, I'm never going to New York again unless I have some money, because I ran out of money so fast. And it was, to return to New York with that movie was just like such an incredible feeling. I don't think I've ever worked on a movie of that scale before either. Like, just entire city blocks cordoned off, and just for us to be able to film. It was, yeah, it was an enormous event.
Today, as you know, maybe a lot of Marvel fans are looking for any information about a return or a sequel to Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. Would you like to play again in a movie like Spider-Man? Yeah,
it doesn't interest me as much. I don't watch those movies. I just don't. I'm not the correct demographic. I don't think. I'm getting older too, and sure, is the short answer. Of course, I would love to play in something like that, but it doesn't excite me, that stuff. Those movies, I must have watched 30 of them, those superhero movies. I can't remember a fucking thing from any of it. From any of them.
Oh, wow.
Because they're not memorable. They're like an amusement park ride. They're like a computer game. There's no consequences. Superheroes can't die, and it's not very interesting to me.
You don't like it?
Don't like them. The ones that I like are
maybe
Deadpool. I loved the Deadpool because he's mocking. Because I think Ryan Reynolds is very brilliant. First of all, I think he's brilliantly funny. But I think that the fact that he developed this thing, having done the Green Lantern, which failed spectacularly, and then he goes and makes this thing which sort of parodies the whole genre, I think that's incredibly clever. And now and again I'll like a superhero movie. Like, I think the first Iron Man I liked. I liked Spider-Man 2, the one I was in, because I actually do think it was one of the better ones, but now there's too much CG. And people will talk to me about like these, I know I'm giving you a long answer, which is probably not what you want, but I'm going to say it anyway.
No, as you want.
People talk a lot about the MCU and what are they called? The Avengers. And they talk about the scenes in them. My brain just disposes of, I can't remember anything from, to me it was all like one long computer game amusement ride. They're not interesting to me, those movies. I would rather direct my own movies, and which I intend to do, and I'd rather be part of a very small movies that have a very large impact. Like, I did a movie called Coming Home in the Dark a few years ago, which we made for about $750,000, very small, very low budget, and it was a very, very successful independent film. And I would rather do 10 of those than, I would be very happy if I got to make 5 more of those in my life. I'd be so happy, rather than these computer games.
I understand.
I'm sorry, it's a long answer.
No, don't be sorry. However, if you could turn back time like Doctor Strange, for example, which period of your career would you like to come back to?
Oh, no, I love this one. I love this moment. And I feel like this is the problem. Part of the problem is I feel like an obsession with the future creates anxiety. An obsession with the past creates depression. The big challenge is just to be here.
Why depression?
Because if you're obsessing about your past, you're creating narratives and you're worrying about whether or not you can alter outcomes. For me, I just want to be here, just here.
Present and future
and
is more important
I'm
for
with
you.
Fabulous you.
Let's talk about Vampire Diaries.
Yes.
Which aspect of your character, Elijah Mikaelson, do you find the most interesting to play for you?
I think he had a very poetic soul, and I thought that was interesting. I thought he struggled the most, almost more than any other character, with I think he had an admiration for humanity, unlike any of the other characters. I thought he admired the humans and the human condition, and I loved that about him. And I also loved his specificity of speech. He was a very precise character, and I like that.
How have you prepared yourself to portray a millennium vampire with so much depth and complexity?
Well, when I got the role, they basically threw me in a suit and threw me on the set. There was very little time to prepare anything. So I had to sort of trust that I was going to bring something that had that kind of complexity. Luckily, in the beginning, there was so much mystery because they did not know what they were going to do with the character. They didn't know how they were going to write him. So I was able to bring a lot more of what I thought the character should be. And I can't really answer that question directly, like how was I able to bring them, because it makes it sound like I'm self-aggrandizing.
And how was it for you to go from Vampire Diaries to the originals with a leading character?
Yeah, so it was that the character became popular, as did Klaus, and we, were very blessed and very fortunate to have this other show. Suddenly it was our responsibility. So the responsibility suddenly became greater. In some ways I really enjoyed that, but in some ways I missed just being a sort of a peripheral dark force.
Do you think Elijah finds happiness only in making sacrifices?
That's a great question. I've never heard that articulated like that before. That's a beautiful question. Yeah, I feel like he has an almost pathological obsession with sacrifice, actually, and I've never really thought about that. And there's something a little narcissistic about it, actually. There's something egotistical about it, which I don't particularly like, because I don't agree with some of those sacrifices, especially those to his brother, who is a fucking lunatic.
Do you think that Elijah deserved a happy ending rather than dying?
I'm not sure that I think that that dying isn't a happy ending. Dying can be a happy ending.
Dying is a happy ending?
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes dying can be a great mercy. I mean, think about it. He's been around for 1,000 years. He's lived how many lifetimes is that? I think that sometimes death can be a mercy.
To conclude, Daniel, I would like to ask you some rapid-fire questions.
Oh,
okay?
Good luck.
Are you agree? Yes, I see it. What was the hardest scene to shoot for you?
I had a scene where I had to be baptized with the... You see, this is not a rapid-fire question. Because if I have... How is this rapid-fire? There's no way to answer this with... Anyway, all right. I had to film a scene with Joseph where we were baptized, essentially. We were submerged in water, which was filthy, and we all got ear infections.
Which was your favorite episode or scene?
The episode that I directed, which I think was season 3, episode 10.
What did you feel when the show ended?
Relieved.
Why?
I wanted to see my children.
Oh, okay. Good answer. With whom did you share the closest bond on the set?
Joseph, because we had so much to do together, and he's a beautiful person and incredibly funny and a kind soul.
What is the biggest similarity between your character Elijah and yourself, Daniel Gillies?
we both wrestle with what we think is good.
And on the opposite, which is the biggest difference between Elijah and yourself, Daniel?
I don't waste my time with shitty people, and Elijah does.
Thank you so much. Merci beaucoup, Daniel Gillies, pour cet échange.
Thank you.
C'était un plaisir de partager ce moment avec ma communauté. Je suis ravi d'être venu à votre rencontre aujourd'hui. Nous, on se retrouve très prochainement avec une nouvelle personnalité internationale en interview en toute intimité. J'aime bien.